Hello and welcome to the TechBytes audiocast. My name's Tim and I'm from the TechBytes blogazine, and with me is Dr. Roy Shestowitz from the TechBytes website.
It's Friday night and I'm gonna get sauce. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. He tried to boss me and was outbossed. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. Underneath his creeper bridge, hoping goats will cross. Quoting Ashcroft and Tom Ridge, I fought the troll.
Right, hello and welcome to episode 36 of the TechBytes audiocast for April the 3rd, 2011. Bit of good news today, all of us are here, and finally Roy's got his internet connection sorted out now, and I think he may even be a happy customer of BT, albeit for the moment. And we're going to start the show as we usually do, with Roy coming in. But first of all, I just want to say Happy Mother's Day to my mother, and I'm sure Roy and Gordon would like to wish the same for their respective mothers. And we'll start off the show with Roy and the first topic. So Roy, over to you.
Right, I wasn't really expecting BT to be part of the conversation, but since Tim actually brought up the subject, the situation was, and some people were trying to spread false rumors about the site or about the audio cast or about myself. The situation, I basically moved houses and I just needed to reconnect the line and everything, and I also changed ISPs at the same scenario. One of the good things for the show, for people who listen to the show now, is we will be able to upload a show about 5 times faster because the previous ISP was pretty slow, and the situation with BT was very unusual because they basically mistakenly activated the wrong line, which means they deactivated mine, and it was just a big roller coaster of complaints and things like that. They will compensate me for it, but anyway, we're back online, and I spent a while catching up with 3 weeks of news, and one sort of topic I was hoping to cover, even though I sort of lost my voice in recent days for whatever reason. I wanted to try and talk about the situation when it comes to Linux as a mainstream subject, or as a subject of interest in the mainstream news, because for those who, I suppose some people may have noticed that the Linux Today news site has had an editor fired, and people speculate, although for legal reasons the editor, she cannot say anything about the situation. It's assumed that because Microsoft got a bit too involved in trying to put Microsoft advertisements on every single Linux post there, she was fired, and then the site was never quite going at the same pace as before. And that led me to wondering, especially while I was kind of semi-offline, just with a dongle, basically the past 3 weeks, to wondering what the situation is with regards to Linux as a mainstream thing. Do we still have news sites that promote Linux as Linux, or do we start to have lots of Android sites and Ubuntu sites and things like that, which change the goal of Linux and the identity of Linux as the open platform or the free platform as it used to be, or at some stage I suppose the GNU project was supposed to be a free operating system, and now we are talking about things like open, and Gordon and I had this conversation just a few minutes ago about the fact that Android doesn't have the source code developed very openly, and access to the source code of Android 3.0 is also somewhat limited to the outside audience. So I wondered what you guys have to say about that.
Well, I was going to say, the first thing I would say is if we can upload episodes 5 times faster, does that mean to compensate we have to speak 5 times slower? Just kidding.
Right. Before, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it'd balance it out.
It's just really fast now. It's just really fast upload speeds.
But no, on to the subject. I don't know. I think Linux to a lot of people is desktop Linux. And the desktop, as many people are kind of seeing, is kind of going to the background now. People are looking at computing from all different, smartphones and tablets and all this, and a lot of that isn't going to be your Fedoras and Ubuntus and whatever. I know some of them are trying to rebrand But essentially, that's taken it onto a different sort of level, and that desktop Linux, I don't know, it might always be sort of destined to be a niche thing. But I mean, the other angle is that as much as that's sort of changing, and people might associate Linux as a desktop, there's also the angle that the major companies involved in Linux, like Red Hat, well, Ubuntu is one, obviously. They can afford to advertise and to promote. Novell are basically on the ropes, and that leaves Red Hat. And all of these three, they're obviously going to want to promote their own. They don't want to put all the millions into advertising and promotion only for people to come to Linux and then jump off to a community distribution. They want to get some return on that. So it's kind of understandable that they promote it as Red Hat or as Novell or as Ubuntu. And everyone else practically is a community, and certainly communities can't afford to put a full page ad in the Telegraph or in the New York Times for the 3 people that read it, like get past the paywall, or it's sort of different things,
I mean, what I see, and I think I've said many times before, I've installed quite a few distributions for brand new users to the Linux. I see that in 2011, the desktop operating system is becoming a bit irrelevant. When you look at the web-based tools that we have and these services like Twitter, Identica, Facebook, all these type of things, it doesn't really matter what you're running to access these services. And then we see the smartphones and people are running Android and they've got access to these same services. And it seems to me that instead of the operating system being important, it's the services which you can access from the operating system which are the important factors on today's computers, like the Twitters and the Facebook. I always cite my brother-in-law as quite a good example because I installed Linux for him. He picked up a machine off a friend that no longer wanted it. It was previously an XP system, and for one reason or another it wasn't working, which comes as no surprise to me when it's a Windows system. But I installed Linux for him. Now, for the first couple of weeks, he didn't really grasp what Linux was because as far as he was concerned, he would switch it on. He would come up with a screen that he was vaguely familiar with where you have a menu and you could select your programs from a pull-down menu, and you'd access the internet and go on his Facebook and do whatever else he did online. And he didn't appreciate that he was running something entirely different to Windows because for him, the computer, like I've said before, and I hate to repeat myself over many episodes, but he was using the computer like a toaster. He really couldn't care less what was going on inside as long as it did the jobs that he wanted. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of now. People aren't so much interested in what they're running, it's as long as it works. I think there's a lot of FUD and a lot of fear put about that you can't run anything but Windows if you want to use Facebook or whatever, and I think there's a lot of myths. One of the common questions I've always been asked by people that don't know about Linux or even have an interest in computers is, can I still access the internet, believe it or not, and can I still get my emails? Because they somehow think that these features are magically part of the Windows ecosystem and Windows only. And to be fair, this probably get a bit of an attack from both Gordon and Roy, or maybe not. But I thank Apple in a lot of respects, in the same way that I thank Firefox for bringing people to alternative browsers. I think Firefox was a catalyst for many people, many of the mainstream users, moving on to try different browsers. And I think Apple and Apple products were another catalyst for people knowing that there's alternatives to Microsoft and that it doesn't really matter what you run. You find what's best for you and you use it. The Apple computers themselves have done, in my view, exactly what Firefox did for the browser, and it diversifies the market. And like I say, I think now I don't believe that there's much of an issue. I mean, there are niche things that we can run that other people can't, and there's things like Windows where they have the claim of gaming, and really that's becoming irrelevant now when people want the gaming area to move into the living room on a big screen TV with high definition and maybe even 3D, and they're running games off consoles. A vast majority of them are. So I think, what else has Windows got? It's got Adobe Photoshop and Microsoft Office. Well, we've already seen how Microsoft Office is already being competed against by LibreOffice and Abbey Word and all the other free open source packages. So really, a few third-party applications is one of the only hooks that Windows has left. Sorry, Gordon.
I was going to say see, there's different levels of users. There's the more technical users who are like us on